Alrighty, everybody. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another live. It is good to see y'all here this morning, or I say this morning and it's 3 p.m. But what's up, everybody? Good to see you all here. Let me go ahead and pull up the chat here so I can see what y'all be talking about. But anyways, good to see y'all. We have quite a bit of active weather up ahead. Multiple days worth of severe weather and all kinds of fun stuff. So we're going to be doing a deep dive into basically what we're going to be expecting here over the next few days. And we're going to be going over the models and stuff like that, kind of explaining why things are happening as well. But anyways, good to see y'all. What's up, Jonathan? What's up, Isaac? Let's see here. What's up, Alt? Good to see you, my friend. What's up, Max? Hope y'all are doing well. The new SPC changes are out. I know, and it looks so weird. It looks so weird. Here, let me bring y'all over here to SPC, or bring the SPC over here. Look how much different it is. So if we go to day 1, if my computer will stop having a seizure, that'd be nice. But yeah, look at it. We are literally, it's completely different now. They have like the same probabilities for tornadoes, but they have like a new intensity thing. I need to learn this. Like, I'm so used to the OG SPC outlooks here. But yeah, I mean they've also added potential for, let's see, they have 3 different significant or hatch risk levels now. I think that's how that works. But anyways, if anything, in my opinion, it makes it more confusing to the general public than the way it used to be. I'm not even gonna lie with you, but that's my opinion. But anyways, good to see you guys. What's the weekend looking like for severe weather in Tennessee? They actually canceled the 15% risk for Saturday. Here, let's hop over to the SPC outlooks here. We're gonna start off with for the first few days. Starting off today, we actually do have a marginal risk today. So potential for a couple isolated severe thunderstorms today, which could include portions of eastern Panhandle, Texas, bits of Oklahoma, portions of like southeastern Kansas, cutting through the middle of Missouri, including St. Louis, Kansas City area, and into even a little bit of western Illinois today. There is a little bit of a severe weather threat. Good news is that we're not expecting any tornadoes today per se. We do not have a damaging wind threat either, but we do have a little. Wait. Is that a hatch risk for hail? Is that a 5% hatch risk? Hold on. Oh, we do have a 5% risk here for hail. I need to pull up the the new SPC outlook here. I think they allowed that to happen. Oh my gosh, we have a 5% hatch risk for hail. A level 1 hatch risk for hail. Let's see what they say about this, because, like I said, this is a whole new system that the SPC is doing here. So, marginal risk continues across, let's see here, southern central plains. Let's see here, risk for some large hail up to 1.5 to 2 inches in diameter. Okay, so I'm assuming it just means the same thing. But yeah, 1.5 to 2 inch in diameter hail possible across the hatch risk area here, which is really interesting. But anyways, hopping back, though. We do have a 5% chance out there for hail here for today. So today's mainly just a bit of a hail threat here. Nothing super extreme overall. Let's see here. What's up, Isaac? Good to see you. Saying hello, Andrew, on SPC day 4. I'm in a 15% risk area in Illinois. Anything looking forward to? It's pronounced Kankakee. By the way, I'm not going to remember that, and I probably still said it wrong, even though you broke it down for me. That's just typically how it goes. I'm terrible at pronunciation. Well, Illinois, you said you're in the 15% chance? Well, we're going to work our way up to it, okay? I'll get to you back here in a minute. I just want to go through days 1 through 4, and then we'll talk more about the specifics, okay? So then we go into tomorrow. So tomorrow is where the big event kind of starts. This is where we actually do have a slight risk in effect, a level 2 threat. So the level 2 threat extends from northeastern Texas, going through eastern Oklahoma, through portions of Arkansas, into southern Missouri and southern Illinois. That's the level 2 threat, the biggest concern for severe weather tomorrow. Then we have the dark green, which is the marginal risk here. The level 1 threat for severe weather is here across the dark green. So, even areas in the dark green could potentially see severe weather for tomorrow. Even southwestern, Ohio could even see severe weather potential tomorrow. Now, in terms of tornadoes, we do have a big 2% chance for tornadoes. A relatively low-end tornado threat for tomorrow, but the threat for tornadoes does exist. And that includes some of the big cities of like Dallas, Fort Worth area, Tyler, Texas, Texarkana, going through like Fort Smith, Arkansas, barely into Little Rock. I mean, Little Rock's kind of right in the middle of it, though, like right on the edge of it. Then we have areas just south of Tulsa, Oklahoma, southern Missouri, south of St. Louis, southern Illinois, out there by like Carbondale, and southwestern Indiana, like by Evansville. So this is a 2% chance for tornadoes tomorrow. A relatively low-end threat here overall. So, anyways. Let me see. Drew says, question. Just if you have a question, just say it. William says. That's funny. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. This is part of the new stuff they can do at the risk level. Yeah, it is different. It's totally different the way that the new SPC works. It's going to take me a while to get used to it, y'all. So we're going to have to get used to it together. It's going to be a little weird. But like I said, it makes it kind of more confusing to the general public with the new SPC outlooks that they're doing. I think they had it perfect the way that they used to do it. But that's my opinion, though. That's my opinion. Let's see here. Official says, well, it's good to see you live, giving us coverage. I am blessed to see this. I have bad feeling that severe weather would be more active than last year. It's just a prediction. It's a guess. Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, I think we could have a good potential for some pretty good setups this year. Absolutely. What's up, Nate? Good to see ya. Saying hi in WW. How are you? I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Hope you're doing good yourself. But anyways, so that's for tomorrow. We do have a 15% chance for damaging wind gusts here, mostly upwards of 60 mile per hour wind gusts being possible tomorrow. Level 2 threat here in the yellow, level 1 threat here in the brown here. So 5% chance for damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour here in the brown, and a 15% chance here up in the yellow. So that's for damaging winds. And then lastly, for hail, that's going to be one of the biggest concerns. Once again, 15% chance for the yellow, 5% chance here for the brown here. So yeah, I've got to look out for a little bit of hail tomorrow, so we'll definitely keep an eye on it. As we do have a little bit of a hail threat here as well. So, so that's for tomorrow being what's tomorrow? Wednesday? Yeah, tomorrow being. Wait, hold up. Am I getting my days mixed up? I think I am. No, tomorrow's Wednesday. That'll be day 2, and then. Oh yeah, that's right. Thursday is. Yeah, that's right. Thursday is this risk here. So Thursday, I got a little bit mixed up on my dates there for a little bit. But anyways, yeah. But then we go into to Thursday. We have western Texas, including the Panhandle of Texas here in the level 2 slight risk. Same thing for western Oklahoma, central and southern Kansas here is in the risk here. There is no breakdown for the exact probability for tornadoes, large hail, damaging wind threat right now, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Let's see here. Drew says, where do I see the tornado outbreak signal out, or at? Well, the kinematic structure seems to be pretty darn strong, especially comparing to the other days. I mean, we're having a lower level jet of at least 40 to 50 knots. Some veering low call. We are seeing those dew points well into the 60s, which is going to supply a good amount of moisture to these storms here. So that's already in place. The wind shear is what really is going to amplify the system for Friday, which is going to make it a pretty decent shot here for for just damaging storms and tornadoes in general. Even the Storm Prediction Center put out that 30% risk for this event here, which it's them saying that this is going to be possibly a pretty big event. Even in the even in the details that they provided, you can just read through that if you want to. It's going to be a pretty active day on Friday. Absolutely. Let's see here. William says, I'm flying to Miami. What is the weather going to be like on the weekend? Well, not anything severe, so you should be pretty good. It'll be probably pretty warm given the this time of the year for Florida. Finally heating up, so that's good. Anyways, Matt says, so what's southeast Michigan and northwest Ohio looking like for severe weather in the next few days? That's actually a good question. I was actually pulling some soundings this morning, looking at the general region here up by Detroit. It seems like on Friday there could be a conditionally unstable environment for possibly some storms. However, the models did kind of suggest a bit of a capping inversion, which could prevent convection from really starting. Could be a bit of an issue here for getting those storms going. So we'll have to see what actually happens. I'm really just wanting to wait till the short-range models, the high-res models like the HRRR really become available to kind of break down the environment in a more higher res. Because right now I'm strictly relying on like the global models for the environment on Friday. So there's a bit of the thing about the global models is that they're not perfectly high res, and they do lack a lot of smaller details and stuff like that. So we'll have to look at it then. What's up, Weather on the Go? Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing good. It is good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Hope everything is well. Saying howdy. Mid-next week when severe weather will peak the sequence next Thursday should be similar to the Friday setup. So yeah, this is Thursday's risk here. From the way it looked, it seemed like we have a lot more of a wind shear component for Friday. We're going to get in the models here in a minute, so we'll do more of the breakdown and stuff like that here in a moment. But anyways, but yeah, man, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. It's going to be quite interesting, I think. Definitely getting pretty active. So, like I was saying yesterday, I find it kind of interesting how we literally just crossed from February into March, and as soon as we got into March, we have this lineup of severe weather. It's just like, yep, that time of the season, or that time of the year, I guess. Anyways, man, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. What's up, Joplin? Good to see you. Let's see. What is Ohio looking like? Any kind of weather for the next couple of days? So as of now, SPC does not really have. Here, let's bring up day 4. So this is the big day right here. This is for Friday. But for Ohio, there's no active risks here right now from the Storm Prediction Center. So, we do have a pretty, we're not in a significant risk or any severe weather risk here from the Storm Prediction Center as of right now for Ohio. But here, let's actually dive into models now. I think we should probably start taking a look at some of these here. So let's bring up our CAPE here. We're going to pull up most unstable CAPE here. This is the most unstable instability in any layer in the environment here. So as we approach, pretty much Friday, as you can see, Ohio will have some instability. This is for Friday. There is a relatively unstable environment across the state. I'm going to grab a sounding in Columbus, just in the middle of the state here, just to kind of look at the environment. And what I do notice is honestly not really a bad, type of sounding. This could absolutely, be a bit of a thunderstorm event here for you guys, as we do have, our dew points in the upper 50s, it's just good enough for supplying that good moisture. There's really not much of really any capping inversion in this particular sounding. Our wind shear isn't anything extreme throughout the mid and lower levels of the atmosphere, but it's enough to get some decent organization within the storms to occur. It could be, a decent little, a decent little setup here for Friday. Photographs, we have a little bit of a veering pattern here. The winds are changing direction slightly with altitude, and increasing in wind speed. Wouldn't really be much, in my opinion, of a really big tornado threat or anything like that. But for this particular sound, you got to remember this is one model. This is one model run. But given this particular sounding, it could be possible that we could see. Maybe isolated severe weather, possibly some gusty winds. We'll have to see, but yeah, the environment in for Ohio is actually unstable as well. So we'll definitely keep an eye out there for it. But anyways, but yeah, Friday would be the biggest day for Ohio. If we were to get any severe weather, it'd likely be on Friday. Anyways, let's see. Will Dallas get a bad tornado on Friday? Obviously, we don't know where, precisely each tornado would be, but given the environment, we forecast the environment in which tornadoes can form in. It's hard for us to determine exactly where each tornado would happen. It's impossible. So, for us to say, your question, will Dallas get a bad tornado? It's honestly unlikely, very, very unlikely. But the environment that you're going to be over, or the environment that's going to be over you, will be capable of tornadic activity here. If we hop back over here to the forecast for Friday, we do have. We do have, I mean, a level 2 15% risk here for the Dallas area here, which is a decent threat for severe weather. But they've actually added that 30% severe weather risk here for Friday, which includes central eastern Oklahoma, eastern Kansas, western Missouri. This is actually one of the greatest areas here for severe weather. The greatest potential for like tornadoes, large hail, damaging winds, will be across the 30% region. But still, the 15% region is still a decent shot for severe weather, and we do need to keep an eye out there for it here as well. But yeah, that 30%. I mean, that's a pretty serious, risk here from the SPC, in which we got to obviously watch it very closely. The reason why I think they did that was, like we mentioned in the previous streams and in this stream, the environment seems to be pretty heavily sheared. There's a lot of strong winds, from the surface to the upper levels, which will allow for these storms to be pretty well organized. And, given the fact that there is that veering wind shear, could allow for some lower level rotation to occur, and, which could lead to some tornadic activity. So that is something that I'm a little bit concerned about, of course. And the instability seems to be pretty good. I mean, if we hop over here back to the Cape here, you can see that this is for 4 p.m. on Friday from the GFS. We do have a decent amount of instability. I'm actually going to change this to mixed layer Cape here, which we are on most unstable, which takes the most unstable layer. But let's bring up the mixed layer Cape here, which still, mixed layer Cape of a good 1,000 joules per kilogram of instability is decent. And then typical early spring setup. We're not in spring yet. Yep, we're getting closer to it, but for this time of the year, it's pretty common to have instability values around this threshold. But anyways, it's enough. It's enough to do to cause some strong to severe storms, of course. Now, grabbing and sounding from this environment here. We have great moisture advection. Once again, our dews are in the mid 60s. That great northerly, or that great flow from the south to the north, supplying a lot of moisture, which, the moisture is not going to be an issue at all, which is actually honestly in perfect zone for any severe weather event, really. And of course, we have a lot of good amounts of instability. A pretty tall top thunderstorms seem to be pretty possible. And of course, one of the main things here is the wind shear. Those winds throughout the atmosphere on the vertical column here from the ground to upper levels seem to be really strong. And because of the fact that when we do have a little bit of lower level veering wind shear, basically, like we were mentioning, the winds from the surface to up a little bit in altitudes, they do change directions and increase in wind speed with altitude, which, could definitely be a bit of a tornadic environment here, which I'm a little bit concerned about. But, a little bit of curvature on our hodographs here does say, that we could see maybe a couple tornadoes in this environment here. So it's a little concerning, in which I'll obviously, be here to cover this with you guys, and we'll be here to help you guys out. Weather on the Go says long range next Tuesday, Colorado State machine learning, sniffing it out along with the 12 Zulu Euro 7 days out. Also worth mentioning. Really, 7? Is there? Is it like another event coming up for 7 days out? Interesting. We'll have to do a bit of a comparison here. The cool thing about this, what I absolutely love, is that I can just like pull up 2 different panels. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna pull up the GFS on the left panel, and we'll have the Euro on the right panel. And we'll just go through and kind of see how they agree. I'm gonna pull back up the most unstable Cape, because this is the only version of convective available potential energy that the Euro does have. So we'll just have both of those in comparison here. So you said for, what was it, day 7? So that would be, what would that be, the 10th, I believe? Yeah, I do see a bit of, oh yeah, look at that. We got some more advection going on here, more northerly advection. And maybe a bit of instability towards the southern plains. Definitely interesting. Both models do pick up on it, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah. It is a bit long range, and definitely something that we should, keep an eye on. Absolutely. Anyways, Mesomat, dude, coming in with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate that. Saying, hey, absolutely loving the new SPC outlook or new updates. How is Owensboro, Kentucky tomorrow? See, I need something exciting. Well, thank you, dude. I really appreciate the $10, man. That helps me out a ton. So in my opinion, the new SPC update it's going to be a bit to learn, and I think for the general public it could be a little confusing with the different tiers and stuff like that. But it's sometimes change is good, right? It's just I'm gonna have to really kind of get used to it, because I've been dealing with the old SPC for a while. But anyways, you want to know about Owensboro, Kentucky tomorrow. So looking at the SPC here, let's bring up our categorical outlook. We do have a level 1 threat here for Western Kentucky, including the Owensboro area. We are in the riskier for severe weather. Now, tornado-wise, you are right on the outside of that 2% tornado risk here. Tornadoes will be relatively unlikely. But, just north and west of you, there's a little bit of a tornado probability, relatively low in chance. You have more of a concern for, for some gusty winds, 5% chance for damaging wind gusts. We could see some gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour or so. And in terms of hail, we also do have ourselves a 5% chance for hail, which could be between 1 and, I think the SPC mentioned between 1 and, or was that for today? I think it was for today, 1 to 1.5 inches in diameter. So we'll have a little bit of a chance for some hail tomorrow as well. So between damaging winds and hail, that's your kind of your probability here for tomorrow. Now, if I do hop back here, I do want to bring up the HRRR for you real quickly, and then we'll move back into the overall outlooks and stuff. But one thing before I do move on is I do want to bring up the HRRR. We'll bring up the 18 UTC. This is a brand new run. So as we go into tomorrow, you can really see here. So as we go into Wednesday, tomorrow afternoon, it looks like we could have a bunch of just scattered multicellular thunderstorms, which a couple of which could be strong to severe. It looks like we could actually get some early morning convection as well, possibly here for tomorrow morning, overnight. But yeah, the main concern appears to be as we go into pretty much the evening here for tomorrow, kind of in the afternoon, going into the evening. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. You are in a level 1 threat, which isn't anything super significant per se, but, it's something to look out for. We could see a couple of strong to severe storms here. So, anyways, thank you once again, Mesomat. I really appreciate it, my friend. All right, let's see here. Hey, Andrew, I just want to say thank you for doing more in-depth breakdowns than big channels do. I was also wondering if West Tennessee should be worried about the, I think you meant to say timing storms come this weekend, or training. I'm not sure if you meant timing or training, but once again, I actually really appreciate it for the compliment, my friend. So West Tennessee, you said for this weekend. So I will mention that during Saturday, Sunday, the SPC does not have any active risks for severe weather. They actually removed that 15% chance yesterday that we had in place. But here for for the region, you said in West Tennessee, if we do hop back over here to the models, oops, sorry, we were already on the models. If we do hop over here back to the models, I am going to bring back up the GFS for a moment. We're going to reload the instability here. So let's go to thermodynamics. We'll go to, we'll do most unstable cape again. So, yeah, Tennessee is going to have a relatively unstable environment on Friday. You can see, West Tennessee, we have the most unstable layer, the most unstable layer in the atmosphere, with instability. We do have a decent amount of fuel here. I'm going to grab a sounding out by Jackson for an example. This is for 4 p.m. on Friday from the American GFS. And first things first, this looks like a pretty good environment for storms. The first thing I look at is moisture supply, lower mid 60 almost dew points. That's a great amount of moisture, advection coming down here from the Gulf, supplying that warm air as it works its way to the north, really supplying you with a good amount of moisture, which is good for these storms. They need moisture. That's essentially their fuel. A good amount of CAPE, like we mentioned, this is the instability, the convective available potential energy, in which we have all of this is CAPE here, between the white dotted line and the red temperature line on your parcel path here. You can actually see that. I mean, this is a relatively thick, unstable environment, which storm tops would be right up to your EL, or your equilibrium level, which is basically where the rising air's temperature meets the temperature of the air around it. Therefore, the parcel stops rising because it reaches an equilibrium. The temperature equalizes. But yeah, that would be roughly your storm top. I mean, you could have some overshooting tops, which could push the tops a little bit higher up, just from inertia of the rising air. But but yeah, I mean, pretty decent little environment. Pretty dry mid-levels could honestly probably support some hail. That's something to maybe look out here for. That could be a bit of a concern here. But one of the big things, though, which is good in your case, is that our wind shear doesn't seem to be that strong. As you can see, we do have a little bit of veering lower level wind shear, which we'll have to keep an eye out there for. But it seems to be relatively low. So the wind shear isn't really super, super strong, which is good, which should lower the overall severity of these storms. But yeah, definitely something to keep an eye out there for on Friday. But given Friday's risk here, if we hop on back over here and we pull up the day 4 outlook. So given Friday's risk, they do not have Tennessee involved. We'll have to see, though. We'll have to see what happens, especially as we get closer and closer to this event here. We'll have more and more information available, to really just kind of show you all what we could possibly see, especially once we really start pulling in like HRRR runs and stuff like that. That'll really help us. And we can see the short range and stuff. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out for Friday. I think Tennessee could possibly having some strong to maybe some severe weather activity. So we'll keep an eye on it. It shouldn't be as significant, though, as the areas further west, because of the main factor being weaker kinematics, weaker wind shear, which is lowering the overall severity of storms. The further west you go, closer to that low, the closer you are to that area of low pressure, the stronger the wind shear is. But that's that. Hopefully that helps. But yeah, just keep an eye out there for Tennessee. This goes off for a lot of my Tennessee folks. Just Tennessee should keep an eye on it for Friday. We'll just have to kind of see what happens. Let's see. Tabletop, there's no active risk out there for Eastern North Carolina. I really don't think you're going to be much involved in this. Yeah, this is mostly a central, east central country event here. So no, I'm not worried about your area. Mezzo says, thank you. You're welcome, dude. No problem. I got you. And once again, thank you for the $10, man. That really helps me out. Helps a whole bunch. I want to say thank you seriously so much for the support. You are absolutely awesome, my friend. Let's see here. Colin says, how is Seminole look for Friday? Are you talking Seminole, Oklahoma, I'm assuming? Which I will bring up Seminole for you. Here, let's hop over here to Seminole, Oklahoma. All right, so you are in a 30% chance, from the Storm Prediction Center, which is a pretty big threat for severe weather. We'll definitely need to keep an eye out there for severe weather here on Friday. That's going to be a pretty decent concern here. And like we mentioned, the environment here, we'll hop back to the models. And if we look at the GFS here for Friday afternoon, if we were to just grab a random sounding here, just kind of in the general area here in eastern Oklahoma, this is 4 p.m. on Friday. We do have a bit of veering wind shear. We do have a little bit of spin potential. Because those winds from the lower levels as we go up in altitude change direction and increase in wind speed, which creates this veering, pattern here, which could allow for some potential tornadic activity. Once again, mid-60 dew points, supplying great amount of moisture to the system here. A decent amount of instability. And one thing I'm noticing is that we almost have a capping inversion here, so could potentially allow for some shallow storms for this particular sounding, but it should just be able to burst right through it. So it should be able to use the full environment here. But it would definitely slow down. The rising air would definitely slow down as it reaches this warmer layer, but still not quite of an inversion. It's more of a halt in the lapse rates there before it goes back up to rising again. Anyways, but that's just what I've noticed here. But bottom line, it looks like a really good environment for severe weather and potentially some tornadoes, unfortunately. Our wind shear is pretty darn strong. It does get stronger with height, which is a big thing for organizing the severe weather and stuff. Good amount of instability, great amount of moisture, and pretty strong wind shear. I mean, this is all screaming things that it's saying that this could be a decent event here. So just keep an eye out there for Friday. Yeah, we're going to definitely need to be watching it. I think you are involved here. Yeah, you're also in the threat here also for, let's hop back over to days 1 through 3. You're in the severe weather threats. You're actually right on the edge of it today. Tomorrow, you're right on the edge of it again. Day 3, you're also in the marginal risk here. But yeah, your main day is going to be on, Friday. So please be weather aware. Keep an eye on it. And I'll be sure to be live here for you guys to cover some of this. Absolutely. Let's see here. Does Ozark, Missouri look okay for Friday? Let me pull up Ozark here. By the way, guys, if you are new to the channel, I just want to say, first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. If y'all do enjoy this, consider subscribing. I'm not going to hold you to it, but it'll be much appreciated. So Ozark, Missouri, let's see here. We actually have a level 2 threat. So tomorrow, oh, you're right on the edge of it. You're right between the level 1 and level 2 threat. But yeah, you're in the risk here tomorrow for severe weather. We can't rule out isolated tornadic activity in the area, but it's extremely unlikely. It's a very low-end threat. But if there's a warning that gets issued, just know where to go. Anyway, so just keep it out there for tomorrow. We do have a 5% wind threat, and you're almost in the 15% hail threat. So hail seems to be kind of the main concern for you tomorrow per SPC's outlook here. Then we go into day 3, which we are looking pretty good here. Then we go into Friday. Now, Friday, you're in the 15% risk here, which is going to be a pretty decent shot for some severe weather. We do need to keep an eye out there for Friday, as we definitely could have a little bit of severe weather activity here, which like we've been mentioning here. Friday seems to be a pretty decent day for severe weather here, but you're in a 15% chance now, so definitely keep an eye out there for it, my friend. But be safe. Be safe. Let's see. I live about 25 minutes from Jackson. I'll keep an eye on the radar just in case. Thank you. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah, it's good to stay weather aware, my friends. Let's see here. Cool Guy says, I feel like Indiana might be in the marginal risk or slight risk when we get closer to Friday. Well, you think Indiana will be? Here, let's look at the environment then. Let's pull up the environment. So this is 4 p.m. on Friday. I'm going to grab just a middle sounding. I'm not going to cherry pick anything. I'm just going to grab a sounding right in the middle of the state here. Which, I mean, yeah, looking at this environment here from the GFS, lower 60 dew points, really good. No capping inversions here. A good amount of instability, pretty high top thunderstorm potential. The wind shear isn't anything extreme, but it's enough to have some organized severe weather. And honestly, I mean, we do have a little bit of a curvature on our hodograph here, a little bit of veering winds in the lower atmosphere. So now I agree. I honestly agree with you. I mean, there definitely could be, some severe weather possibly even in Indiana on Friday. Yeah. I think it will be possible. I mean, that's also one model run, so I will say that as a disclaimer. But for that particular sounding I grabbed there, yeah, it looks like a severe weather sounding to me. Anyways, let's see here. Kelly says, will there be severe weather for South Mississippi? That's a good question. So for South Mississippi, we do have some instability building in on Friday. Friday, once again, is the biggest day for severe weather this week. So we'll definitely keep an eye out there for that. So if I grab a sounding, we're going to grab one out by south of Hattiesburg, just to look at the general environment. Okay, so I noticed something here. We have, theoretically, yes, the environment will likely produce some storms, great moisture advection. I mean, you're right on the Gulf there, so great moisture coming in. Our mid-levels are a little dry, which is just fine. Um, but one of the big things is looking at just how weak the wind shear is. Um, it's crazy because throughout the entire atmosphere, right, from the surface to the upper levels, um, we're literally seeing no stronger than 30 knot winds through any of those layers, which that is extremely weak wind shear. So this is what would happen if storms were to actually fire in this environment. So storms start off with the rising warm air, going into the cooler environment, condensing because the cold air can't hold the moisture that's coming in. So basically, the hot air rises, right? So we go up and up. Now that's your updraft, the intake, the air coming up. But the fact that there's no wind shear is preventing that rising column of air from arcing itself, so that the air that starts coming down would actually vent away from the incoming air. The problem with this is that the environment is just the wind shear is so weak that the rising air, as it rises and cools down and starts to cool back down and sink back down, would actually collapse on itself. So you would immediately have these storms just dying on themselves, because the storm would eventually start ingesting cold air, and kind of pushing down on your updraft because there's just really not much wind shear here. It's just a very weak environment for storms. So organized severe weather, I doubt it. This is just kind of a typical thunderstorm sounding, to me, anyways. But I really don't see much of a severe weather concern here. So probably not. How am I liking the new SPC outlook? I feel like, okay, here's my honest opinion on it. In my opinion, the new way that they have things, it can be a bit confusing. I mean, I know to me, it's a little confusing at start. What does each intensity level really mean? I've been forecasting weather for probably a good 10 years or so. I mean, I've been, not on the channel, but I've been doing this for a very long time. And I mean, I've been so used to just the typical SPC outlooks here. I feel like they're adding more variables, which can confuse the general audience more. In my opinion, it's good to have some innovation now and then. It's good to change some things up, but in my opinion, I think they should have kept the old one. But I mean, it is what it is, man. And to me, it's whatever. Not the biggest fan of it, but it'll do. All right. Anyways, what's up, Sean? Good to see ya. Let's see. Core says, what's up, buddy? Let's see. You remember me by the name of Kaylee. There's probably a lot of Kayleys that come in here. I'm not even gonna lie with you. So, anyways, I accidentally skipped over Mabin. I'm sorry, I did not mean to do so. What about Bella Vista, Arkansas on Friday? Let me pull up Bella Vista. Need to figure out where this is at first. So this is up in Arkansas. Yeah, so Bella Vista is actually in the level, technically the level 3 threat. That 30% chance for severe weather. So yeah, definitely need you to be weather aware on Friday. Like we mentioned, for this general area, the general environment around here, there is going to be some really strong wind shear, some strong winds that will be organizing severe weather, veering winds, which could create some tornadic spin, or just spin, which could lead to tornadic activity, I should say. So yeah, there's enough instability, a great amount of moisture, lots of wind shear. It seems like a good environment for severe weather. Like I was mentioning earlier, we don't forecast, the storms themselves. I know that sounds weird, but we don't forecast the individual storms themselves. We forecast the environment in which storms could form in. That's how the forecasting works. So, some people will absolutely not see severe weather. Even if you're in the biggest risk, not everybody will, more than likely, unless it's like a super big derecho, which it's not. Nam probably said it was, but it won't be. But it's just it's crazy. But generally speaking, the environment does seem to be pretty active, and does seem pretty capable overall. So, anyways, all right, let's see here. Core says, "What am I thinking about Friday?" Yeah, so I think Friday could be a pretty active day, honestly. Like we mentioned, strong wind shear, good amounts of instability, great moisture, steep lapse rates, which contributes to the instability. Between lapse rates, the temperature in which temperature, or sorry, the rate at which temperature drops off over altitude is lapse rates, typically per kilometer. So steep lapse rates, good amounts of moisture leads to high Cape values, which could definitely be quite an active day, I think, for sure. Anyways, what's up, MD? Good to see ya. Saying hi, Andrew. Hope your day is good. You as well, my friend. Hope you're doing well. All right, let's see. Core wants me to look at a zip code. Absolutely. I got you, my friend. By the way, guys, if you are new to the channel, consider subscribing. It'll be much appreciated. All right, so you are in Oklahoma. Yep. So you're in the level or that 30% risk here, which equivalent to a actual enhanced risk here for severe weather. But yeah, you are in a 30% chance for severe weather for Friday. If I'll grab another sounding once again for the environment here. This is 7 p.m. on Friday. I'm just gonna grab a random sounding up in northeastern Oklahoma. And whenever it comes to, look at the photograph. You see a bit of an arch here that shows that there's a little bit of veering wind shear in the lower atmosphere. Could lead to some spin. The thermodynamic column here, looks really good. We have great moisture advection once again, mid 60 dew points. It doesn't get much better than that unless you're in the 70s, but we don't talk about that. Mid 60s is good, perfect for any storm, any severe weather event. So that's not a problem at all. Good amounts of instability here. Pretty fat Cape. For this time of the year, anyways, it's pretty good. Potential high top thunderstorms are. Our wind shear column is pretty strong for the most part. We have mid-level winds of about 50 knots or so, which is pretty strong. And the winds do increase with altitude, and we do change wind direction with altitude too, which could lead to, like we mentioned, some spin and some type of decent organization given the wind shear and how strong it is. But bottom line, it seems like a pretty active little sounding here. It seems like we could see some pretty strong storms out in the area. So please be careful. Please be careful. Let's see. How is Chicago looking on Friday? Chicago is actually in the 15% risk area. Yep. So we do have a 15% shot for severe weather that actually extends all the way up into kind of central Wisconsin, which is pretty crazy. You have some really strong moisture advection for this time of the year to get that 15% in central Wisconsin. This event's pretty strong. It is pretty strong. But yeah, Chicago does need to keep an eye out there for severe weather here. I will grab a sounding just to kind of see what the environment generally looks like. So this is 7 p.m. on Friday. I'll grab one for Chicago, and we'll just kind of see what the environment looks like. Okay, so surprisingly good moisture advection. This high up north latitude, honestly, is kind of surprising for this time of the year. We have 60-degree dew points, which is good, perfect. Wind shear is pretty strong. We do have a bit of a veering wind, bit of veering winds here. Could lead in theory to tornadic activity. However, I am noticing a little bit of problems with the lower atmosphere here. It looks like we might have a little bit of a capping inversion. It could make it a little tricky, a little difficult for storms to fire off, maybe in the beginning. But this is 7 p.m. This is after diurnal heating. This is after the sun comes out, heats up everything. At this point, the sun will be starting to set. But so we pretty much be at max temperature. Storms in theory should be able to just burst right through that. It's not an insane environment. This is kind of a relatively low-caped, high-shear environment. Could absolutely still lead to some severe weather, but we'll definitely keep an eye out for Chicago area. It's you guys are in the area of question, so we'll watch it closely. Anyways, let's see. Commando says, is Joplin in the 30%? So Joplin, yes, is in the 30% chance for severe weather on Friday. So yeah, Joplin should definitely keep an eye out there for it. What's up, Carrot? Good to see you, my friend. Hope you are doing well. Carrot says the GFS is less aggressive than the ECMWF. That's fair. Here, let's actually look at the Euro. The Euro. See what the Euro says. I'm actually going to grab another sounding for Joplin. Or, not Joplin. Chicago here, which dew points are pretty similar. But yeah, a little bit of lower level problems here. Yeah, maybe some elevated storms. I mean, yeah, given the fact that we do have some veering winds, wouldn't really mean much to an environment with elevation or with an elevated setup per se. What I mean by elevated setup is the storm base is higher than you typically want for tornadoes and stuff, because you want that storm base to be pretty low to the ground for tornadoes. Yeah. I mean, that looks more of just like a normal thunderstorm environment, maybe isolated severe. But anyways, let's see here. William says, "Could I look at the zip code for Friday?" Absolutely, I could do that for you. By the way, guys, if y'all do enjoy this, please consider subscribing. It'll be much appreciated. All right, so you, my friend William, you are in the 15% risk here. Yeah, so you're definitely in the area where we do need to look out for. On Friday, definitely need you to be actively weather aware. Now, given the environment here, for severe weather, I'm actually going to bring up the models again for you. So yeah, you're up by this region of Missouri. Let me just grab a sounding from Euro here real quickly. So our dew points are in the upper 50s, which could work. If the upper temperature profile looks good, but there's a little bit of problems here though. For this particular sounding, it could be a little hard to get some storms firing here. Yeah, we'll have to see here. Let me compare this with actually GFS. Let's see what the GFS shows, just to compare. Yeah, so there is a little bit of a difference between the GFS and the Euro here. The dew points seem to be a little higher, moisture content a little higher on the American model. But there's a point here in the lower mid levels, which supports the fact that the environment could briefly warm up, which could stop or really slow down thunderstorm development. So yeah, we'll just have to see how that plays out. This is for Friday. This is 7 p.m. It looks like we have more instability at 7 p.m., which still a little bit of problems in our lower levels here. We'll keep an eye on it, but just know, I mean, yeah, SPC does have you in that 15%, so we'll keep an eye on it. All right, let's see here. Could I look at a sounding for Ozark, Missouri? I humbly apologize for not asking that. No, you're good. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Like I said, man, we're here to help you guys. We're here to answer any questions that you might have. All right, so you're up in Ozark. So that's down here. You are right there just south of Springfield. So here is the American GFS model. All right, so this particular environment, so pretty good wind shear. We honestly have some pretty decent photographs here. You can see that we have that arching, that lower level veering, change in wind direction with altitude, increase in wind speed with altitude. Great moisture advection. We are having lower 60 dew points. Mid levels are pretty unstable for sure. But the problem is that little level here. You can kind of see here on the GFS showing that it's maybe I wouldn't really say fully. It's definitely not fully capped out at all. But the rising air would struggle here. It would struggle here because the rising air. It would continue to rise up until it reaches this level, and it'll either slow down or completely stop because the environment actually slightly warms, or at least holds itself for a little bit. Yeah. I mean, in theory, storms should be able to break through this, but it's definitely an interesting environment here. But yeah, bottom line, I mean, yeah, it looks like a decent little environment overall. Let's see here. All right, let's see. Next up, how bad could it be in Omaha on Friday? I'm assuming it's Nebraska. See, because there's two Omahas. There's one in Texas and there's one in not Oklahoma, no, in Nebraska. So if you could tell me the state, that would help. What's up, Sky Guy? Good to see you. Saying, how about the zip code 653040? Gotcha. Pull it up for you. So yeah, you're in the 30% chance over here for severe weather, Sky Guy. So definitely need you to be actively watching for severe weather on Friday. The soundings here for you suggest a very high wind sheared environment. Possibly some lower level spin here. Got some veering winds in the lower atmosphere. Great moisture advection once again. good enough instability. Yeah, decent little sounding here for your area. But yeah, given the SPC, I mean, we do have we do have that 30% chance out there. So please be careful on Friday. Molly says, so it doesn't look bad Friday for tornadoes in Dallas. Well, Dallas is definitely in the risk here. Out there by Dallas is actually, believe it or not, more instability than a lot of other areas. Like Oklahoma, Texas will have some of the most instability. But honestly, given this particular sounding here, our lower levels are a little funky. I ain't gonna lie. Wind shear isn't significantly strong. There's a little bit of a capping inversion here, as you can see, which could prevent storms from developing or really hurt them from developing. Great moisture, though, good amounts of instability. So the environment's loaded if we can break that cap. But that's for 7 p.m. If we go back to, let's say, 4 p.m., there's not really much of a cap there. But generally speaking, honestly, the Dallas area, I mean, we have a little bit of veering earlier in the day. But yeah, I mean, Dallas will definitely be in the tornado threat here. I mean, this does look like a potential, tornadic event here for you guys, but it won't be as significant as, say, areas further north, because the further north you go, the closer you get to that, that low. The closer you are to that low, the stronger the wind shear and stuff. So, anyways, MD says, "How is Troy, Ohio?" Yeah, so you're out there by like Dayton, aren't you? Isn't that by Troy area? So as we go into Friday, now there will be some instability for Western Ohio on Friday. This is 4 p.m. Honestly, this looks like a decent little thunderstorm sounding. Lower 60 dews, which is good for moisture. Enough instability. Our wind shear isn't the strongest per se, but it does support maybe some isolated severe thunderstorms. And we do have a little bit of a veering column here in the lower atmosphere. So, I mean, for this particular sounding, I wouldn't say tornadoes would be impossible. I'd say that relatively low in tornado threat. It would be higher if we had stronger veering and just stronger wind shear in general. But I'm definitely looks like a decent little sounding there, which could support some organized severe weather. So. We'll definitely need to keep an eye out there for your region as well. But the SPC does not have you actually in the risk area yet. But I mean, just given me taking a quick view at the soundings, it looks definitely possible. Anyways, let's see here. Late to the gathering. Did we already cover Des Moines area for Friday? Stay safe and have fun out there, everyone. We are so back. Yeah. We did not cover Des Moines, but I can go over it for you. So Des Moines is actually in the 15% risk here. The wind shear is actually going to be stronger out by Des Moines because you're closer to that low. But we do have a little bit less instability up here. But we do have Des Moines in the 15% risk for severe weather. If I was to grab a sounding here for 4 p.m. on Friday from the American GFS model, honestly, like I said, the wind shear looks really good. Some really strong winds, but we do have actually a little bit of a capping inversion here, a little bit of a warm layer between 1 and 3 kilometers, which could honestly be a bit of a problem for storms. So this particular sounding, storms would really have a tough time forming in or sustaining themselves. So that's for 4 p.m. Let me try 7, maybe. Let's see how the environment changes between 4 and 7. So, I mean, definitely seems to be pretty capped out, at least for the early part of the day here. According to GFS, maybe by the later evening it gets better. But then, we start getting the cold air to overtaken, which really completely ruins your lower levels there. Yeah, honestly, this is kind of interesting. Here, let's see what the Euro has to say about this. You being closer to that low makes it a little bit more iffy. Yeah, Euro is actually in complete disagreement. This shows 4 p.m. Storms should be able to convect in this environment here. But yeah, I mean, you are in the risk area here for Friday. So, definitely keep an eye out there for severe weather. I mean, the SPC does have you in that 15% risk. So, definitely just stay safe, and we'll keep an eye on it. All right. Let's see. I guess they're trusting the ECMWF more than the GFS, which is fair. Yeah, that's fair. Euro has the rep for being the most accurate model, but they all have their moments, But uh, it is what it is. It's still not good to not look at some models because you agree with another one more. It's you need to look at as many models as possible to kind of get an idea of what they all agree on. So you got to really look for what models agree on, and what they disagree on, you kind of throw out. But anyways, um, Squashy says it's crazy to think we were just talking about a big snowstorm and now we're getting big threat for severe weather on top of Philly. It's going to be in the 30s to possibly 80 next week. Wow. That's crazy. That is crazy. Let's see here. You're welcome, Sky. No problem. Sniper says, how about zip code 66720? Gotcha. You're right in the middle of that 30% chance out there. So Sniper, definitely be weather aware on Friday. Yeah, you're in the you're kind of in the best mixing layer here, or the mixing between the instability and the wind shear. You're kind of in that hot spot, which is where we could see some potential strong severe weather. So please be careful on Friday. Yeah, keep an eye on it. All hazards will likely be a bit of a concern. Anyways, Austin wants me to know about Omaha on Friday. Didn't we just go over Omaha, Nebraska? Oh, that's right. That was between Nebraska and Texas. All right. So Omaha, Nebraska, believe it or not, is in the 15% chance out there for severe weather. So we do need to keep an eye out there for the Omaha region. There is a shot for severe weather. But, this area is a little bit more iffy. I'd say confidence is a little bit lower down here, but you are in a 15% risk. I'm a little bit concerned about that warm layer kind of out in this general environment here that could really mess with convection. This is 1 p.m. on Friday. Lower levels are a little iffy. I really want to see what yeah. See, this particular sounding looks kind of iffy. We do have some lower level veering, but our storm base, would be pretty high. We'd have some pretty elevated storms if they did fire off in this environment. That kind of lowers your overall tornado threat, but it still kind of keeps some of your other threats, like just generalized severe weather threat. We'll have to see. I really want to wait till we have some short range models available. But bottom line, the SPC does have you in that 15% risk, so you should definitely keep an eye on it. Anyways, let's see here. All right. Bog says, sweet, thank you. You're very welcome. You are very welcome. All right, let's see here. What's up? Just good to see ya. Saying hi, what's happening? A lot. Yeah, we got a lot of active severe weather, not just Friday either. We got to really look out for tomorrow. We have a slight risk tomorrow extending from northeast Texas through eastern Oklahoma, western Arkansas, southern Missouri, and southern Illinois tomorrow. Then we go into day 3, which would be here for Thursday, in which Thursday we have a level 2 threat for the panhandle of Texas, bits of western Texas, western Oklahoma, and bits of Kansas in the level 2 threat. But, the overall severe weather threat is also in the green, the dark green area here, with that marginal risk here overall. So, yeah, definitely need to keep an eye out there for that as well. Then we go into day 4. This is for Friday, which is the biggest day of them all. Friday is going to be the day where we have the strongest wind shear, the best instability, just the best mixing between all of these main ingredients that we need for severe weather. The moisture, the instability, the wind shear, the lift is all going to be the greatest on Friday, which is the biggest risk that the SPC has out, and a 30% chance here. So yeah, we got a lot going on. Day 5, they actually removed that risk. We did have a little hot dog risk that we were tracking yesterday, but they removed it. The reason I say it's a hot dog risk is because it literally looked like a hot dog yesterday, but they removed it, so it's no longer there, which is good, which is good. But yeah, anything beyond that, we do not have anything else going on. But yeah, pretty much today, starting today. I mean, we do have a little marginal today, or I say little, but it covers quite a few states here, from eastern Panhandle to Texas, through Oklahoma, through Kansas, through Missouri, and western Illinois. A little bit of a severe weather shot for today. Tornadoes do not include it. Today's really just only a hail threat for today, so nothing too crazy. But yeah, tomorrow is where it really starts picking up quite a bit. All right, let's see here. Let's see. How is Indianapolis looking? So Indianapolis, if we hop back over to models here, so I do think that Indiana could be involved for some severe weather. So if I was to grab a sounding, this is for 4 p.m. on Friday from the Euro model. Euro, does show a decent little environment, which some storms could definitely form off in. Upper 50 dew points will work. Wind shear isn't anything excessive, but it would definitely be enough to, organize some storms and, maybe allow for some strong to potentially severe storms here. As we go later on into the environment here, this is for, oh, good, and actually ignore my alarm if you heard that. So this is for 1 p.m. It looks like a decent little environment. By 4 p.m., conditions, still look possible for storms. But, yeah, I think Indiana will be involved. Out there by Indianapolis will be involved in some potential severe weather here. The American GFS also kind of agrees to 4 p.m. You can see looks like a pretty decent little environment here. Honestly, this particular sounding, I would not say that tornadoes would be impossible. Just kind of given our lower level spin here, but yeah, definitely we'll definitely keep an eye out there for it, and see how it goes. But you're not actively in the risk from the SPC right now, but we'll definitely just keep an eye on it and we'll see what happens. Easton says, what about Northeast Iowa on Friday? So Northeast Iowa here, we'll actually hop back over here. So if we hop over here to Northeast Iowa here, we do bring up a sounding, which, yeah, it's kind of interesting here because those lower levels seem to be, let's see here. Yeah, our lower levels seem to be kind of iffy here, especially by the early standards here overall. But yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on it. It definitely seems like we're going to be involved in some potential severe weather. Let's see. Dylan, you obviously don't know what you're talking about, dude. Do you not see the environment that we're in here for Friday? Great moisture advection, tons of instability, great wind shear, stuff like that. So for you to come here and complain about what I'm doing, obviously you do not know what you're talking about. Get out of here. Anyways, we don't have time for those people. Let's see. But yeah, Northeast Iowa, we'll definitely keep an eye out there for it. We'll definitely see how it goes. The risk here, which does include like all of Iowa. So, Carrot, you tell him. That man obviously lacks a lot of information and doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, at least know what you're talking about before you come here and try to complain what I'm doing. Like, literally, SPC, look, we have a max risk on Friday, and you're coming here to tell me that what I'm saying is wrong and that there's not a potential for tornadoes and stuff. Buddy, get out of here. Tell me. I've been literally breaking down the environment this entire time and showing you guys exactly why Friday is a big concern, And for this dude, Dylan, to have the audacity, honestly kind of funny, in my opinion. So at least know what you're talking about before you even come and try to mess with me. Seriously. I could school you any day. But anyways, enough of that. Sorry about that. But yeah, so like I said, we'll definitely keep an eye on it. In which, yeah, definitely Friday is the biggest of the days, given the fact that we have the strongest instability and stuff like that. Grandma Julie said, where did that guy go to school? Who knows if he even went to school. Anyways, Sonia says, hi, Andrew. You always do a great job. You know what you're talking about. Thank you, Sonia. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys, seriously. It's just you get a couple sour apples every once in a while. And, the audacity is crazy. Nicholas says, what about Marble Falls, Texas? So let's see here. Let me pull up Marble Falls. So, okay, yeah, we are. It's crazy. You guys are like right on the edge of that 15% risk on Friday. So, yeah, I mean, SPC does have you in that risk for severe weather. I mean, we have a lot of instability down here. Great amount of cape. Let's see here. So you go ahead and grab this. We'll pull up a sounding here. Yeah, this environment definitely looks pretty decent. A good amount of cape. Wind shear not as strong down here per se. We do have a little bit of a veering though. But given the environment, I mean, it definitely looks decent for some severe weather. But yeah, you are in the 15% risk from the SPC. So yeah, keep it out there for it on Friday. You do have a bit of a risk here, in which I will be live to cover a lot of this for you guys. So I got you guys. Kim says, "Hey Andy, you got a clown in here." Yeah, I noticed. This ain't a circus. He's in the wrong spot. Anyways, Stormy says, "What happened? Just got on." We had a drama queen in here. Let's see. I think he just said something about Andrew has no clue what he's doing. Yeah, basically. Whenever was literally breaking down the entire environment every time I've been doing this. So, but nah, some people just don't know what to do with their own time. They just like to complain to others whenever they obviously do not know what they're talking about. To try to criticize me for what I'm doing is wrong. Like, literally what I am doing here is just trying to help you guys and keep you guys weather aware. But, like I said, you got a couple sour apples every once in a while, but they ain't going to stop me for what I'm doing. I'm going to help you. I'm dedicated to help. And bottom line, that's what it is. That's how it's going to be. All right, Crystal. Thank you so much, dude. Crystal, thank you so much for the Category 1 membership for 24 months now. Greatly appreciated. Saying, let's see. Hope we're done with the snow. Hope you're doing well, Andrew. I'm doing good. Thank you. I appreciate it. And once again, Crystal, thank you seriously for the Cat 1 membership. And, with the snow and stuff like that, here, let's actually bring up precip type reflectivity for a minute. I do want to kind of see what the environment looks like here. All right, so actually, unfortunately, from what I'm noticing here, I mean, we're not quite done with the snow. Actually, it looks like we might have a little bit of snow on Friday with this system. Yeah, up by the northern plains. According to GFS here, we might have some snow going on here. Here, let's bring up the Euro. Yeah, see, Euro is a little bit in disagreement, though. So there's a little bit of iffiness there. That's a new word, by the way. I'm calling iffiness a new word. Unless it already exists, then. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say iffiness before. Anyways, let's see here. What's up, Polly? Good to see you. How am I? I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Hopefully you're doing good yourself. Grandma Jilly says, "I've trusted you and the weather for quite a while. I can't thank you enough." I appreciate it, Grandma Jilly. Appreciate it. I mean, tell yourself this. During these weather events, have I been at least somewhat fairly accurate over these weather events, right? I mean, iffiness for the W. Yep. Brand new word. Thank you, Polly, though. I really appreciate it, saying you do a great job. I seriously thank you. Like I said, I try to do my best. I'm going to admit it. I'm not the best out there. I might not be the best one out there, but at least I'm here to just tell you all what to do, and how to stay safe and stuff, and what you can expect. Stormy says Andrew's more than informed and is qualified. He does know what he's talking about. Dylan is goofy. Thank you, Stormy. I appreciate it. All right, Aaron, I got you, my friend. Here, let me pull up your area. We'll see what we got going on out there. I can never say that town name right. Kiwani? Is it Kiwani? Now, that is one thing about me, is I suck at pronouncing names here. Kiwani. This is pulling up somewhere in outside of the U.S. Do you have a zip code for that? If you have a zip code, that would be so much better. Anyways, Crystal says, "Thanks, Andrew. We want spring." Yeah, me too. I'm ready for spring, man. I tell you. Um, Stormy says, I hope northern Wisconsin is not going to have any more snow. Yeah, I mean, it is certainly possible, though. I mean, snow is definitely still fairly active in March. This is where we just really start to see a lot more warmer air advecting into the country here. But this is where we could start to see more severe weather in March and stuff, which, like I said, I find it really funny that the fact that we literally just got into March and we already have all of this severe weather signed up. It's pretty crazy. Let's see. Kim says you're here helping people who are in these areas. Other people aren't, and that counts a lot. I appreciate it, Kim. Yeah, like I said, I love you guys. I appreciate all of my chat. I appreciate y'all for sticking up with me and sticking by my side. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I always got y'all's back. I'm always going to be here to help you guys. Let's see. All right, Polly has a zip code for me. Let's see here. How bad will it Granbury gonna be? Let me see. Let me pull this up for you. All right, so you, my friend, you are in Texas. Okay, so you have a 15% risk over here for severe weather. So this is out there by the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So one thing I will mention here, let me bring up the risk so you can kind of see it. So you are in the 15% risk area for Friday. Now, if we hop over to tomorrow, we actually have another level 2 threat for severe weather tomorrow. It all starts really tomorrow here. Let's see here. We do have a 2% chance for tornadoes. We do have a 15% chance for wind tomorrow and a 15% chance for hail. So a bit of a triple threat, severe weather, hail, damaging winds, tornadoes. So yeah, not just on Friday you need to be weather aware, but also tomorrow you need to keep an eye out there for it as well. Now, as we hop into Thursday, there is a little bit of a threat to the west of you for the most part. But yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Let's see. Dylan says that Dylan guy is goofy. Also, we'll say what I said so chat can see was don't call don't call this what the Dylan guy was saying a tornado outbreak. See, it's normal spring weather. He got mad because his child can't take some tip. That's fair. I will also say this. See, 33 watching you. See, it's crazy you're helping so many people out. Well, thank you, Dylan. I appreciate it. Crystal coming with the $2 super chat, my friend. Thank you so much, saying you deserve some love. Don't forget to like. Thank you so much, my friend. Greatly appreciate it. But anyways, let's see. ATR says my local news station is saying we might see severe weather later this week into the weekend. What do I think? SBC hasn't put anything out yet. Let me pull it up. Let's see here. Let me see what we got going on for you. So let me bring up your zip code. Hold on 1 second. All right, so we are actually we're outside of that risk, like you said. Let me bring up our models here, though. Yeah, it's good to see what the models are suggesting for you. Okay, so we're gonna pull up the SPC here. So we have that. Okay, so you're in western South Carolina here. So we go down in time here. Let's actually bring up our instability here so we can kind of see what's going on. All right, so yeah, so obviously Friday is going to be the day where we actually have a little bit of instability building into the region here. So let's grab a sounding in western South Carolina. See what we got going on here. So it looks like, it looks like the environment's going to be relatively unstable. Great moisture advection, tons of instability for storms. However, our kinematics here are definitely a bit weak, which would not really allow for any organized severe weather to really occur. I mean, these would likely be short-lived storms, because you can't really get really can't get a separation between your intake, the updraft and then your downdraft and stuff like that. So, definitely looks like an environment for storms, but severe weather, I'd say, would be relatively low, relatively marginal, I'd say. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens. That we'll definitely have to See what happens. But anyways, the fact that Dylan had to come on another account just to type shows you how desperate he is for attention. That's honestly crazy. Honestly crazy. And the fact that he literally sits there, he's like, I'm just gonna drop it all. It's not. I'm not here for drama. We got some drama queen Dylan in here, but anyways, let's see. All right, Aaron got a zip code. Let me see what we got going. Is this the? Hold on. Is this the one I just did? Let me double make sure here. No, this is the one up in Illinois. Gotcha. All right, so out by Kiwani, if we actually hop on over here, and we'll bring up the risk here. So for day 3, we don't have anything. Day 2, we don't have anything. And then we hop into day 4. Yeah, so we do actually have a 15% risk here for day 4, which we'll definitely keep an eye out there for. So we do have that 15% chance. So up here, the wind shear is going to be a bit stronger because we're closer to that low. But, the advection's not going to be as strong higher north latitude that we are. If I actually bring you guys back over here to the models here, we actually kind of look here. This is for basically normal, or look here for northern Illinois. We do have, like I said, a pretty good amount of wind shear given that we're closer to that low. Great moisture advection and stuff like that. We do have some some cape available. So, I mean, generally speaking, yeah, this is an environment where we could see some strong storms overall. Perhaps maybe even some severe storms. So we'll have to see. But I mean, yeah, you are in the risk here from the SPC, so you should definitely keep an eye out there for Friday overall. You're welcome, ATR. No problem. Let's see. I'm sorry for getting in late. Anything tornado potential for Indiana? Yeah, no problem. So Indiana definitely needs to be on the lookout here. We do have a bit of an unstable environment here. Here, let me grab a sounding for Indianapolis area. So we do have a little bit of veering lower level wind shear. So the winds are veering with altitude. We do have some strong, strong winds. The wind shear is decent. It's not anything extreme, but could definitely allow for some, organized severe weather. But we do have, great moisture advection, great moisture supply. Lower 60 dew points will support it. We do have, a pretty good amount of, mixed layer cape, just cape throughout the atmosphere here overall. But we'll definitely need to keep an eye out there for it. But yeah, as of right now, though, the SPC does not have you in that risk here, but I do think that there could be some strong to potentially severe storms, even in Indiana, so we'll see. Let's see. Kim says that's not normal for Dylan. He's normally chill and respectful. Yeah, I mean, some people have bad days, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him. I guarantee you, if I listed off some meteorological terms, he would not be able to answer them. And honestly, to sit here and say that he's like smarter than me and stuff like that, it's kind of crazy. But it is what it is. For him to like sit there and try to say what I am doing is wrong, saying that there's a tornado outbreak possibly on Friday. That's even a thing. I didn't say that there is a tornado outbreak on the thumbnail. I put a question mark because it's possible. Even the title, it says tornado outbreak possible on Friday. And I have a lot of evidence to claim this. Like I mentioned, strong lower level jet, strong northerly moisture advection here. We have a lot of moisture coming in from the Gulf, great wind shear, good amounts of instability. The fact that literally the SPC put a maximum 30% risk on Friday too, it's wild. And then for Dylan to say he knows more about me, it's kind of wild, in my opinion. But I could literally list off a bunch of meteorological terms, and I guarantee he would not be able to answer any of those. But anyways, we're not gonna get too much into the drama here. I really apologize for the people who's just here actually trying to get weather information. You get some idiots like him. Anyways, all right, Crystal, I got you, my friend. Let me pull up your zip code. See what we got going on for you. So we are in, yeah, Western Ohio, out there by Dayton area. So we actually looked at some soundings out here. It does look like we're going to have some instability out here for Ohio. Here, let's go ahead and pull this up real quickly. So, we do have a relatively unstable environment here. Great moisture supply, but our kinematics aren't as strong. But they are strong enough to allow for, some storms, perhaps some organized severe weather and such. I mean, given this particular sounding, I do think that there could be some strong to severe storms here. We'll have to see, but just know right now the SPC does not have you in that active risk. So we'll just have to keep an eye on it. Let's see. What's up? Oh, good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. People say, or people will always see what. Huh? Good to see you, Overbill. Hope you're doing good, man. Let's see. Story says, I noticed that spring is coming more early where I live. See, it used to be we have to wait till May before it got warmer. Last few years, it's gotten warm in March and keep going. Yeah, it's definitely interesting because you can have. Obviously the weather is always changing, and there is a lot of the environment every year is totally different than the last. You could have some patterns which can lead to some similar weather events. But the weather is always different, and just it's constantly changing, So we'll, yeah, it's definitely interesting though. Like I said, I find it really funny that the fact that as soon as we got into March, that we literally immediately have like day after day after day worth of severe weather coming up. It's pretty interesting. Anyways, let's see here. Rocket says, can I please check on a zip code for me? Yes, of course. Got you, my friend. Here, let's bring you up here. I'm going to see what risk you're in for, my friend. So you are, let's see. All right, so you're in Indiana. We have so you're up here in Western Indiana. So looking at the overall models here, this is the American GFS model. We'll grab a sounding in Western Indiana. So honestly, yeah, this particular sounding looks decent. We have good amounts of moisture. So the main thing for storms you need is moisture lift, instability, and wind shear. Those are really the main things that you need for for storms and stuff like that. So given the fact that we have our dew points in the 60s, tells us that the environment, that the air is holding a lot of moisture. Warmer air holds more moisture than colder air, and the fact that we're having dew points in the 60s tells us the air is holding a lot of water vapor. Which is good, for storms, because that's what it needs to thrive. And the fact that we have some steep lapse rates, the rate at which temperatures are dropping off over altitude, is telling us that the air is going to be, the environment is going to be positively buoyant. Basically that any air that tries to rise, you have an air parcel, which is the rising. You have a thunderstorm. It starts off as the updraft stage, how it starts rising, and the air parcel is warm. And the air parcel, so the rising air is warm, and the environment around it is colder than the rising warm air, which allows for there to be positive buoyancy. This is just the difference in the temperatures here. So as that warm air rises into the colder environment, that the cloud will get bigger and bigger and bigger as it continues to rise. But the thing is that, like I mentioned, warmer air holds more moisture than colder air. As you go up into the environment, the air actually cools down, so that, the amount of moisture that's in that rising warm air as it cools down can no longer hold that much moisture as it used to, which allows for everything to condense. You get saturation, the air becomes saturated, meaning that it's holding, it's at the point where it's holding more water, or it can't hold any more water vapor. Therefore, you have sublimation. That's where you have the transition from gas, being water vapor, into a liquid, being those water droplets. So basically, it's just kind of squeezing out the moisture, from the previous warm air as it goes into the colder environment aloft. So, anyways, but that's basically what's going on here, and there's a lot of that in. It's going to be in play here for Friday. For a lot of the country, a good chunk. There could be a lot of storms on Friday. So, definitely looks pretty interesting. But remember, I don't know what I'm talking about, so. Anyways, Yeah, Crystal, it'll be all right. We'll keep an eye on it. And like I said, I'll be doing some coverage for you, and we'll definitely keep you guys weather aware. I do plan on doing lots of coverage for you guys, and just keeping y'all weather aware. Thank you, Crystal. I really appreciate it. But anyways, guys, well, if y'all have any questions or anything, do not hesitate to ask. I'll be more than happy to help y'all. Rocket says thank you. You are very welcome. I'm very glad to help you guys. No problem at all. But yeah, definitely Friday looks like a decent event here. I'll go ahead and pull up our lower level jet here. We have a lower level jet of it, at least 50 knots or 40, 50 knots or so, which our lower level jet seems to be pretty strong here. So strong lower level jet. Tons of instability, great moisture advection, everything like that. It's really coming together here. And like I said, literally the Storm Prediction Center has a 30% risk, which is the max risk they can put out for, the long range here. But we have a big 30% chance here for severe weather from the SPC, which definitely seems, definitely is going to be a pretty active day here. If we hop back over here, you can see day 4, that big 30% chance, definitely is going to be pretty strong here. And they do mention, a lot of potential for, some supercells. Could be capable or should be capable of producing tornadoes, stuff like that. So, yeah, definitely is going to be pretty active on Friday, unfortunately. But like I said, we'll be here to help cover this event here. You can see that we do have once again a very, very strong lower level jet. We do have a lot of veering wind shear too. It's not speed shear; it's veering, which also kind of tells us that this could be a bit of a tornadic environment. And storms shouldn't be elevated, at least in the central lower part of the country. The upper northern storms will be a little bit more tricky because the environment in some cases seems to be maybe slightly elevated, which once again, you want a shallow storm base for tornadic activity. The moment you have elevated storms, that kind of lowers your tornado probability a bit, but that does not apply for the main area. The best area of mixing between, advecting moisture, the instability, the kinematics, all of that really mixes well over where we have that 30% chance. That's kind of the hot spot here for Friday. So, but anyways. But like I said, guys, if y'all have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. We are more than happy to help y'all. And, we'll be here to keep you guys up to date. I'm going to be pretty active. I'm going to be pretty busy the next couple of days. So we'll definitely be here to help y'all get through this. Let's see here. Kim says, totally off topic, but I got a new LED light. My kitchen is so bright. Oh, that's cool. Heck yeah. I actually need to get me some LED lights. I actually have some around my TV, which I turn on every once in a while, but it tends to make my face green or blue. It's interesting. Rocket says, let's see, Friday is supposed to be 75 degrees here. Wow, it's pretty warm. Yeah, we got a lot of warm air coming in from the Gulf here. Here, let's actually bring up our dew points. I'll show you guys all of that advecting moisture here. Let's see, we'll bring up our layer here. Pull up this. All right, so we do have, you can actually see this right here. So we have that advecting moisture, so a lot of air coming up from the Gulf here. And then we actually have a bit of a cooler air mass coming down. So you can kind of see that front there, the separation between your warm moisture-filled air mass and in your cooler, drier air mass. But dew points are going to be in the 60s. All the way up into the Great Lakes region, which is pretty crazy. That's some pretty strong advection, especially for this time of the year. You got that horizontal transport of moisture is pretty impressive. It really is. But yeah, let's hop on back over here, y'all. We're going to talk about the risks that we do have for severe weather. Here, let's go ahead and get rid of this here. Anyways, but yeah, so let's bring up our outlooks here. So once again, everything really starts today. I mean, we do have a level 1 marginal risk here for today, which includes bits of eastern Texas, the panhandle, not eastern Texas, but eastern panhandle of Texas. And then, of course, it goes into bits of Oklahoma. We have the Oklahoma City, Tulsa area included, southeastern Kansas, including the Wichita area, just shy of Topeka. But it does include like Kansas City, Missouri. It cuts through Missouri out by Springfield, Joplin, St. Louis. Some of these areas here we do have, that level 1 threat here for today. So today's threat's not going to be really anything significant. It's mainly really just a hail threat for today. We have a 5% chance for hail in these regions. There is no tornado threat today. And of course, we do have not even a damaging wind threat for today either. Just strictly a threat for hail. And, some of the largest hail we could see today is for areas in like south central Kansas and northern bits of Oklahoma here. So that's today. We do have a marginal risk here in effect. Then, of course, we go into tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow is where things really start to pick up quite a bit here. We do have a slight risk here, a level 2 threat for northeastern Texas here, including the Dallas-Fort Worth area, southeastern Oklahoma, as well as the western side here and the northern side of Arkansas. Now, we also do have southern Missouri and southern Illinois in that slight risk here for tomorrow, in which we do have a 2% chance for tornadoes, which, is a relatively low threat for tomorrow. Remember, the biggest tornado threat's on Friday. This is for tomorrow. But we do have ourselves that 2% chance here for the areas in green, which we cannot rule out an isolated tornado or two for tomorrow here overall. Now, we do have a 15% chance here for areas of northeastern Texas, once again for the Dallas-Fort Worth area, 15% chance in the yellow, 5% chance here in the brown. That is here for tomorrow. And then we go into day 3, which this is where we have, yet again, another slight risk here for portions of the panhandle of Texas, western Oklahoma, portions of central and southwestern Kansas here overall, which, we do not have a breakdown specifically for tornadoes, large hail damaging winds on to this day here, but we'll definitely keep an eye out there for it overall. But the threat in general goes all the way up towards Iowa and even a little bit of extreme southeastern South Dakota here overall. So, and then of course we have the big day where we do have the potential for, yes, a tornado outbreak is possible. Remember, I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, we do have a big 30% risk here from the Storm Prediction Center, which is the biggest risk that they can actually issue for this time being right now. Now, no, it's not a high risk, quote unquote, but it is at least an enhanced risk here for severe weather on Friday, which it does cover a pretty large area. Like we mentioned, we have great moisture advection, a lot of warm, moisture-filled air coming up from the Gulf, advecting northward. We do have, a good amount of instability. We do have well over 1,000 joules per kilogram of mixed layer instability through a lot of these areas in the 30%. So pretty good amount of instability, definitely enough to get it done, to get the job done. Great kinematics, some strong veering lower level wind shear. The change in wind speed and wind direction in the lower atmosphere could allow for some spin in the veering motion that it does have. And of course, strong mid-level shear as well would allow for these storms to be relatively organized as well. And then of course we have the source of lift. We have that boundary that we were looking at here a little bit ago. So, everything's really come into play here. Good instability, good moisture, good kinematics or wind shear, as well as, a decent amount of lift, which will achieve storms to initiate. But yeah, big 30% here for Friday for central eastern Oklahoma out there by the Tulsa, Oklahoma City region here. We do have a western Missouri included here, including the Kansas City area, and as well as eastern Kansas out there by Topeka. We do have that 30% chance probability here overall as well. So definitely going to be a pretty big day. And of course, we even have the big 15% risk area, which extends all the way up into even central Wisconsin, as well as central Texas here as well. Anyways, what's up, Haley? Good to see ya. Let me see. Can I do an outlook for Omaha on Thursday/Friday? Yeah, let me go ahead and pull up Omaha. I'm assuming you mean Omaha, Nebraska. So for Thursday, we actually do have a let's see, we'll go ahead and pull this up. We actually do have a level 1 threat, marginal risk here for Thursday. So we have a chance for a couple isolated, strong to severe storms here. So keep an eye out there for that. There is no exact breakdown probabilities yet for this, but we do have a, of course, we do have that 15% chance here for Friday. Which the SPC does have you in for, a decent risk for potential severe weather. So please be careful, especially on Friday. Friday is going to be the bigger of the 2 days, in which, definitely needs you out there in Omaha to be actively weather aware. And like I said, we'll be doing a lot of updates. So we'll be here to help you guys out and, just keep you guys weather aware. Absolutely. Carrie says, or Carrie, Carrot says, worried about instability if uptrends. This could be way worse of a risk given to kinematics. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about that. Like I said, I mean, this is still technically long range guidance here. Just imagine once we start getting a lot of the high res, like the 1 kilometer model resolution, from the HRRR and the RRFS, which I'm pretty sure the RRFS already does have some, some type of range here already that's already reaching it. Here, let's pull up the let's bring up the RFS model. This is the 18 Zulu run. Okay, so let's pull up the composite reflectivity here. I'm just kind of curious to see what this shows. Now, a lot could definitely change between now and then. But anyway, so then we go through Tuesday, through Wednesday, through Thursday, and the Friday. So interesting. So it shows like this is pretty early. So as we go into, as we go into later Friday, look at that kind of line that develops there. According to the RRFS model, that's actually quite interesting. Definitely shows, quite a nasty little line here developing from later Friday going into Saturday. Maybe some more discrete storms to the south. Yeah, this is still, I wouldn't trust this fully, though. Like I said, this is still kind of a little bit of a ways away out, and we are pushing like 70, 80 hours here. So, the fine scale, looking this fine so far out is a little iffy. But, definitely looks like we're going to have, just multiple days worth of strong to severe storms here. Will definitely be quite an active period. But anyways, guys, if y'all have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I'll be more than happy to help you guys. And just once again, everybody, thank you all for hanging out with us, for joining here. I will, like I said, I'll be here for y'all to, just keep you guys weather aware and stuff. Let's see here. But anyways, if there's like any zip codes or anything that you want me to pull up here, because I'll be more than happy to do some personal forecasts and stuff like that too. And like I said, the main thing here, guys, is just keeping you guys weather aware. I'm here to help y'all out. I'm here just to kind of show you guys where the main threat is, kind of what we need to look out for, and stuff like that. But Haley says, do I think that the SPC will upgrade to the enhanced risk to a moderate risk on Friday? I don't have enough information for that. Typically, if it was to be upgraded to a moderate, it would need to have likely a little bit more instability, a little bit more, cape, as well as maybe a little bit stronger wind shear. But we'll have to see. But this is still day 4, which is still a couple of days out. There could be a lot of changes in the models between now and then, so we'll have to look and see. But I don't know, honestly. It's just too early to tell. The models could change quite a bit by then, essentially. What's up, Calvin? Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Carrot says, looks like some level of agreement is happening with the event around the 10 to 12 with a Midwest or Northeast event. Might be worth watching out for some good point. What is that? Is that for today? 10 to 12. Here, let's pull up like the HRRR here. Yeah, the HRRR only goes out 48 hours, but we'll take a look and see here. Let's go to 18 UTC. We got the long range here. We'll pull up the, let's see, precipitation, and we'll do the, I'll do 1 kilometer reflectivity here. I do want to bring up my my personal radar color table here. So, okay, so for today, like I said, we do have a marginal. Oh, you meant March 10 to 12th. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, actually, we did mention that Weather on the Go actually joined here for a little bit and was telling me about how we could have another little system developing here. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on it. I really want to kind of get through what's going on now for the first couple of days before we really get into more of the extended range stuff. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if anything happens, we'll be covering it, and we'll keep an eye out there for you guys. Kim says, thanks, Andrew. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate it. Haley says, okay, thanks, Andrew. I'll be watching for the SPC Outlook. Yep. No problem. You're very welcome. Yeah, I mean, definitely need you guys to be keeping a close eye on it. Once again, this is a Friday's risk here. We do have that enhanced risk for central, eastern Oklahoma, eastern Kansas, western Missouri, and this does include some pretty populated areas. We have like Kansas City, Topeka, we have Oklahoma City, Norman, Tulsa, in that 30% alone. And of course, we do have that 15% risk that does extend outward. I mean, as high north as of right now as central Wisconsin overall. So, anyways. How strong is the capping inversion going to be over Houston, Texas tomorrow? All right, let's bring up the models. We'll take a look at the capping inversion. Got those pesky capping inversions. Gotta love them. All right, let's grab a sounding here. This is the HRRR model. Okay, so this is for tomorrow. It seems like we should break the cap by tomorrow afternoon. But, it's typical to have a capping inversion pretty early in the morning and stuff, which it looks like, yeah, for early morning we have a bit of a capping inversion. But tomorrow, though, we do break that cap. This is 4 p.m. on Wednesday, so for tomorrow, there is really not much of any cap going on here at this particular hour. This is 4 p.m. Pretty dry mid-level atmosphere, a good amount of instability. Our kinematics are very weak, though. We have very weak wind shear. Literally between the surface and 500 millibar or 6 kilometers. I mean, that's about 20. So it's like 17 to 20,000 feet or something like that. I think it's like 17,000 feet. But yeah, between the surface and like 17,000 feet, I mean, the winds do not get any stronger than 20 knots, which that's really weak wind shear. So like I mentioned before, I mean, kind of the problem, with that particular environment here, is the fact that, once you start to get a storm, we get that warm air that starts rising into the cold environment. Given the fact that there is really not a lot of strong wind shear to kind of arc your updraft, because what comes up must come down. We actually do have that warm air rising. It cools down and then sinks back down to the surface. So that's your downdraft. And then you have your updraft here that's kind of, pulling up the warm air into the cooler environment and stuff like that. But anyways, the fact that we don't have much wind shear means that, the updraft is almost going to be perfectly vertical. And what's going to happen is once that air cools down, it's going to sink right back kind of on itself. And what's going to eventually kind of happen is you're going to get some of that colder air getting caught right back up into the updraft, and it'll kill out the storm. Because storms need to ingest warmer air than the environment is in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So the higher you go up, the cooler it gets. You have that warmer air that starts rising, which the warm air that is rising is warmer than the air around it, so it's buoyant and wants to continue rising upwards. But then you get to the point where you hit what we call the EL, which is the equilibrium level. This is the point where you kind of run out of instability, but also basically the point where essentially that rising warm air, the temperature of that rising warm air equals the temperature or equals or is equals or is less than the temperature is in the environment around it. Does that make sense? I know that could probably be a little confusing, but anyways, yeah, I mean, the EL is pretty high, which would tell us that storms could have they could be pretty tall, but I don't think they'd be really long lived at all in this environment because of the wind shear. I mean, the wind shear is kind of like the motor. It depends. I mean, you have everything looks good thermodynamically here, but kinematically, that's where we have the problems. That's where we have the biggest concern, or the biggest concern to the storms overall. Because I mean, this is not a good shear environment for storms, which the storm would die quickly. Anyways, see, I noticed the capping, but given how robust the system is, the main risk areas will break it most likely. Even if you have a strong cap in some areas, it depends on your vertical velocity. I mean, you could have a really, really strong amount of vertical velocity, which in some cases can actually just force that air to just burst right through it kinematically, which is very interesting. And I mean, it happens, but yeah, it's quite interesting. But I don't see a cap for Houston, though, to answer your question. I probably didn't have to go too far in depth, but I know a lot of you guys said that you like to to see me go in depth with the models and stuff. You know what? I'm actually going to do a little bit of a poll here. I'm kind of curious to see y'all's opinion on this. I'm just curious. Let's see. Yeah, y'all be sure to vote. There we go. Yeah, let me know what y'all think. I'm not really too sure how much I should mix it, because I know a lot of you guys just come here for a simple weather update, just to kind of know what's going on. But then I don't want to get too boring by explaining things that some of y'all probably don't want to learn. You just want to know what's going on. So, anyways, how long do am I gonna be live for? I don't know, honestly. Could I please show the severe weather outlook? Absolutely. Yeah, I can bring up the convective outlook here. So, the biggest day, like we mentioned, is going to be Friday. This is the risk here from the Storm Prediction Center. The 30% chance area, the greatest probability for severe weather is in the orange here. Obviously includes, central eastern Oklahoma, eastern Kansas, western Missouri. That's that 30% chance area. Now, we do have that 15% chance as well that extends from central Texas up into the Great Lakes region, even including central Wisconsin. That's crazy. From central Texas to central Wisconsin has that 15% risk here, which is still, technically a pretty decent, severe weather risk area. So that happened with Greensburg. The lower level jet increased vertical shear so much the cap was essentially shot through like a bullet. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you can have. The kinematics can absolutely do that. Even if you have a strong inversion, if you have enough air forcing upwards, it can punch through it. It's really cool. But it can happen. Absolutely. Let's see here. Will the storms be when they hit Dover, Arkansas? I'm not sure what you mean by will the storms be when they hit Dover, Arkansas, or maybe be severe. I'm assuming. Let me look here. Let's pull back up Dover. Dover, Arkansas. Yep. So you are, you're in the risk here for Friday, so there is a threat for severe weather. Let me bring up the model for you again. So this is the HRRR, which does not really cover Friday yet because it's still a little too far out. Let's actually we'll bring up the RRFS here. We'll hop back to the 18 Zulu. We'll see what this particular this one says here. So for Friday, it only goes out so far. So we're looking at Friday here. Honestly, Friday, according to the RRFS, doesn't show much convection. Over here by Arkansas, I'm assuming the culprit's a capping inversion. Let me see. Well, honestly, not really. Our dew point depression, is 11 degrees here. The fact is, if you have a strong dew point depression in the lower levels, it could actually enhance damaging winds. A little bit of a fun fact. We do have, a pretty good amount of instability here in this environment. Yeah, it's just weird because some storms don't really seem to fire off. Now, in the early afternoon, the later morning, there's quite a cap in effect here. You can kind of see that warm layer. So you got the white dotted line. That's your parcel path. So at the lower levels, the air starts rising. It rises and rises, and then it reaches the environment where the temperature of the environment around is actually, believe it or not, is actually warmer, which stops convection. It stops that rising warm air. But yeah, remember, I mean, this is also one model. This is kind of an extended, high resolution run. I mean, there's gonna be, it's gonna be a little iffy. So. Anyways, Calvin says, thanks, Andrew. Just wondering what the strength of the capping inversion, let's see here, for Friday and into the weekends of Houston, Texas. So, I guess you mean further on into the event here. So, I mean, the capping inversion will be pretty strong. And you can look at the convective inhibition here if you want to on this panel. You got mixed layer, surface base, most unstable. I would go with most unstable overall. But, yeah, I mean, the capping inversion, I mean, it is the strongest in the morning. It is the strongest in the morning. But, the way it looks, though, is that the cap will be broken, throughout the afternoon into the evening, which, the cap shouldn't really be much of an issue for Houston. The thing is that, lift, the environment is absolutely capable for storms. But just naturally the cap does seem to break. But it is pretty strong in some of the morning hours here for the next couple of days. Let's see. Sometimes soundings are off with convection. They're not perfect. That's fair. I mean, models in general just aren't perfect, Unless it's a observed sounding, then they're usually pretty spot on. Let's see here. I have a question. How are you using Radar Omega? I am not using Radar Omega. Ashley says, "Hi, Andrew. What is Springfield looking like Friday into Saturday?" What's up? Good to see you, Ashley. Is that Springfield, Illinois, or is that Springfield, Missouri? Let me know which Springfield it is. I don't want to do the wrong one because there's quite a few Springfields out there. But I hope you're doing good, Ashley. Good to see you. Let's see here. Springfield, Missouri. Gotcha. All right, so Springfield, Missouri. We do have a 15% risk here for Friday for severe weather potential. I don't think we're in the risk for any other days. So let me double check though. Okay, actually, we do have a level 1 threat for today, which is a marginal. Just a little bit of a hail threat. Unlikely you'll see anything big today. Tomorrow, we actually have a level 1 threat as well. Marginal risk for severe weather in Springfield. We have a little bit of a break on Thursday. We are in the general thunderstorm risk, so a couple booms can't be ruled out. But, yeah, the big day is going to be on, of course, Friday. We do have a 15% chance here for severe weather. Now, we're going to hop back to the models here. I do want to bring up... Actually, we'll stay on the RRFS for a minute. We'll look at this model, kind of see how the environment looks here. So let me pull up the instability. We'll pull up thermodynamics. We'll pull up the most unstable cape here. Pull in the most unstable environment. So yeah, here for Friday, we're going to grab a sounding right over Springfield. It seems like we have, I mean, at least a little bit of instability, enough instability for storms and stuff. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing on this particular sounding, I mean, yeah, we have good moisture. We have kinematics, the wind shear throughout the atmosphere is pretty decent. Could organize some strong to severe storms, absolutely. I have a little bit of a problem, though, because, in this particular sounding, to start a thunderstorm, you have that warm rising air. It might slow down between 1 and 3 kilometers because, the temperature actually kind of stops, the lapse rates, or you have steep lapse rates, the temperature which sorry, I'm trying not to confuse it. I probably am. I apologize. Basically, what's going on here? I'm just going to be straight up, just normal. What's going on here is that the rising air could slow down or maybe even stop in this environment here, which could stop thunderstorm activity altogether for this particular hour. This is 4 p.m. But as we go into the evening, you can actually see there's a cap that develops here, which could really just stop thunderstorms from happening. It's really interesting on this model here. The cap could be a problem, basically just stopping thunderstorms from forming. But I will tell you this, though. You're in the risk. Other than that capping inversion, yes, the environment is capable for strong to potentially severe storms here, but it just depends on the model. Some models are more stronger than others. This is also the long range long range high res model here, the RRFS model here. So anyways, but bottom line, yeah, just keep it out there for severe weather for the Springfield area. Absolutely. Can I do more details on the timing and capping issues for Omaha, Nebraska? I'm just super excited to kick off the best time of the year. I don't blame you, dude. I don't blame you. But yeah, absolutely. We'll hop back over here. So the problem with Omaha is you get closer to that low, and the mixing is a little different. So here, let's actually hop back to GFS here. We'll bring back up the American GFS. We're on the 18 UTC run. So for Omaha, I mean, I can't give you, honestly, with timing, it's a little iffy. I mean, this is for Friday. This is still 4 days out. I can't really give you an accurate timing of when storms will fire. Typically, we can figure that out usually the day before these storms happen. The day before or the day of is the best time to look at timing specifically. But it'll be during the afternoon, evening hours, for the most part. But anyways, out there in the Omaha area, I'm going to go ahead and grab a sounding. This is 4 p.m. on Friday. So this is kind of, where you have maximum, TBL, basically where you have a lot of turbulent air in the lower atmosphere. But basically, at this point, this is where you have maximum diurnal heating. The ground is heated up to max potential at this point. So the sounding here shows a really strong amount of mid-level wind shear. There is a pretty good amount of wind shear, very, very strong winds throughout the atmosphere. We do have the dew points in the upper 50s, which is enough, supplying enough moisture. But there is a little bit of a problem there. Maybe a small capping inversion right around between pretty much right around 2 kilometers here. This is one model. This is one one model run. Then we go into 7 p.m. and by this point, the cap does it does kind of break a little bit, but there's not as much instability at this particular point as we go into the evening. So at 1 p.m., this is for 1 p.m. on Friday, you can obviously see that warm layer right here. So there's your capping inversion at 1 p.m. So, I mean, for the morning, going into the early afternoon, storms would almost probably not exist in this environment because of this capping inversion here. While we do have instability above, while the environment is unstable, you need to get that thunderstorms start pretty much from the surface and then they go up in the altitude. But, this is kind of like acting like an invisible wall that's stopping convection from occurring. So then you go into, like I said, the later evening, that cap does lighten up a little bit. But, by then you have that cooler air mass that starts kind of rolling in and eventually kind of pushes everything out. And yeah. Honestly, it's a little iffy for Omaha area. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. Here's 7 a.m. on Friday. There's instability, but probably still a bit of a capping inversion here. Yeah, lower levels are not very good. we have pretty shallow lapse rates on the lower levels. But anyways, to be honest with you, this is kind of a tricky little setup for you. Let me compare that with the Euro. Kind of see what the ECMWF here. This is for Friday at 1 p.m. Yeah, relatively weak lower level lapse rates. Could be a bit of a hard time for storms trying to fire off here. Then we go into 4 p.m. Yeah, by 4 p.m., your lower levels are completely cooked. I mean, you're not going to have any storms firing off in this environment here by this model. I mean, you can see, obviously, there's a bit of disagreement here. That cold air mass starts sweeping under, drying up the air on the lower levels and, cooling things down. So, anyways, I see the Omaha Dome will strike pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I can see where the atmosphere, yeah, there is instability, there is strong kinematics, that's why we have a risk here, but the lower levels might mess you up. They might mess up storms, which, the way you look at it, could be actually a good thing. So, anyways, let's see here. All right, we have 24 votes. Wow, a whopping 92% of you guys said that you like the in-depth part of the models. That is a strong yes. Wow. Well, I appreciate y'all's take on that. Yeah, because I wasn't really sure how much I should really go in depth with the models. I don't want to do too much and probably bore you guys to death. I mean, I know a lot of you guys would like to know kind of what's going on in the atmosphere and stuff. But anyways, but I appreciate it, y'all. Let's see. It's almost like Mother Nature heard some people cheering for Storm Chase and then turned the atmosphere into yeah. Let's see here. Hey, can I see the text message on the chat? Well, like your message? Yeah, I can see it. Hopefully Houston avoids any severe weather this season. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't think right now. I don't think we have any risk for Houston. I mean, we do have Friday. The threat's slightly north of Houston as of now. Remember, I mean, we do got some severe weather other days too. I know we're really focusing on Friday, but you also got to remember, guys, we do have a bit of a threat starting technically today, but today's really a low-end threat. Just a hail threat for today and just a level 1 threat. Nothing too big today. Tomorrow's where things really start coming in play here. Then, of course, we have day 3. Yeah, we're going to be very busy. I'm going to be doing a lot of coverage for you guys here. So, we're going to be very busy this week. Let's see. Have I ever used Radar Omega? I have a long time ago, but I don't really use it anymore. Eric says we've already had severe weather this season already. What, Houston? Have y'all? I mean, yeah, I saw bits of South Texas actually got really hot already. I think we already broke 100 degrees in some spots this year. I forgot when this was. It was a couple weeks back. What's up, Bong? Good to see ya. Saying hello from West Kentucky. What's up? Good to see ya. But yeah, guys, please, if y'all have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. I'm really, I'll be more than happy to help you guys out. If y'all have any zip codes, if you want me to look at a specific area, if you're curious on what days you're in the risk, if you're in the risk at all, just throw down a zip code. I'll be more than happy to help you guys. And like I said, the main thing here, guys, is just making sure that you all are staying weather aware. You guys are staying prepared. That's the main thing. And like I said, if y'all have any questions, I am here to help. And, I know a lot of you guys are scared of severe weather and stuff, and I totally understand, but we'll get through this. It'll be all right. We'll, we do have a pretty decent event coming up here, but, like I said, we'll be all right. We'll get through this, and, I'll be here to walk you guys through this. Absolutely. Let's see, enjoying the beautiful weather out while it lasts. That's true. So I hope everyone's having a great day, too. You too, man. You too. So it's unusual to see 100 degrees in February. Yeah, it is. That's crazy. Have I ever experienced a tornado? I did back in, I think it was 08 or 09. I was a kid. It was in Kentucky. I was actually coming home from a party. It was my aunt's party. We were actually coming home, and there was a tornado warning. We actually left because of the tornado warning. I didn't know about it at the time. I was a kid, but I used to be really scared of tornadoes back then when I was a kid. But yeah, I mean, there was a tornado warning. My mom wanted us to get in the car and go home. I thought we were leaving a little early, but yeah, there was a tornado warning, and we were going down the highway, and I looked to my left, and there was a tornado that just was developing right next to us, and then eventually it did touch down. It was crazy because we were going down the road. We were at an intersection, and there was a sign, and it was like, how signs do in strong winds, how they kind of wiggle back and forth. It was doing that, and you could see just branches getting thrown across from the right to the left, with the tornado being on the left side. So we were kind of in its inflow band there. It was crazy. It was really crazy. I mean, it was a pretty crazy day. I was freaking out. I ain't gonna lie, but I was a kid, And one thing, okay. So listen up, all my people who have problems with storms and who get scared over storms. Totally fine. I mean, I honestly, I used to be that way, where I have big time storm phobia. I cannot tell you how much better I felt after learning how to read radar. If you learn how to read radar, more specifically, because there's multiple radar products, you guys are typically just used to reflectivity showing you precipitation rate. it's very important that you guys learn velocity because it shows you which way the air is moving in. You can see where there's rotation. Learning correlation coefficient is very important because it can show you where debris is. Between reflectivity, I mean, really, if you want to look for tornadoes, velocity and correlation coefficient are the best way to identify areas of rotation and find tornadic debris. And if you overlap rotation with tornadic debris, on correlation coefficient, then boom, you got yourself confirmed tornado by radar. But yeah, learning radar is honestly one of the most important things that I did to kind of get over storm anxiety. It's very it's very very helpful, and it really it makes you feel better knowing kind of what's going on in the storm. You know, a lot of it's kind of the fear of the unknown. You know, not really knowing. Really what's going on in the storm. That's where the biggest fear is. Um, let's see here. In Houston that night, National Weather Service put out a big tornado warning on a line of storms that. So, Eric? Do you remember what night that was? Was that the day of 100 degrees too? Curious. Had to have some strong advection at that point. Grace says, let's see, I'm never scared of severe weather. Actually, chase severe storms. Be careful. Be careful chasing them. You know, it can be pretty dangerous. Even the most educated people. Squashy says I was hit by an EF2 in 2020. I thought it was an EF1 until a number of weeks ago. I always love weather, and somehow that brought me closer to weather. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. But just for the people who's like actively, scared of weather, nervous of weather, like I said, it's totally fine. Like I said, I even used to be that way. I recommend learning radar, learning how to read velocity correlation coefficient. It has helped a lot. It really has. Because now I can kind of see what's happening within the storm. If I have a big storm over me, I mean, the thunder itself can sound intimidating. Loud thunder, you assume it's a strong, severe storm. Not always, but like learning, essentially, velocity correlation coefficient is very, very helpful. Let's see. You don't remember what night it was. I can go back. It's fine. You don't worry about it, Eric. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna make you look at it or look for it. It's all right. I was just curious if you knew what day it was. So I never experienced a tornado up close until I moved to Kentucky. I ain't chasing or trying to. That's fair. That's totally fair. The most damage storm can do. What scares me is seeing house damage. Yeah, that's true. Especially don't having house insurance. House insurance. Yeah, that's fair. All right. Yep, sounds good, Haley. Yeah, be sure. So here's the thing, guys. If you do get in a tornado warning, okay, if you have a basement or a storm shelter, go there. That's your number one spot you want to go. But if you do not, go to the central interior portion on the lowest floor of your home. Now, if you're in a mobile home or a trailer, I would leave. Honestly, I would leave as quick as you can and go find a more sturdier structure. And if, say, worst case scenario, I mean, absolute worst case scenario, say you're in a trailer, say there was a tornado coming, say the roads were blocked off for whatever reason, strong winds or whatever, and you're in that situation where you couldn't drive. At that point, honestly, it would even be better. It would be much better to lie flat in a ditch than be inside of a trailer. Because the bad thing about mobile homes and trailers is, I mean, unless they're anchored, they really can't hold too much of strong winds. I mean, even if they're anchored, they can't really withstand. I mean, definitely tornadic winds they can't withstand. At that point, I'd recommend going to the lowest floor, or not lowest floor. Well, if you have a basement or storm shelter, or if you have a house, go to the lowest floor possible. But if you have a trailer, then you got to get out and go find a ditch and cover your head. Anyways, let's see. Live just west of Omaha. Been here almost 10 years. May in 2024 outbreak was incredible. I got pictures of a funnel cloud right before it cycled up, came back down as the Elkhorn mile wide F4. Wow, that's crazy. How do I read radar on radar omega like velocities? So I mean, velocities is you read it the same way. Here I'll pull up a classic signature. Uh, Here I'll show you kind of what it looks like, so just to kind of know what to look out for. But basically, you want to look out for you want to look for tight winds going away and towards the radar. Like here, I'll show you an example of kind of what this looks like. Okay, here's a good image right here. I'm gonna open up this in a new tab. I'm gonna bring this over here. So this is kind of what a what a velocity signature looks like. So the green here, the green is telling you that the air is moving towards the radar. And then the red showing you that it's moving away from radar. So whenever you have a tight, concentrated area of winds going away from radar and winds going towards the radar, which in this case the radar would be to the bottom. Hold on, which way would it be moving? Well, this whatever. Red is moving away from radar. Green's going towards the radar, but this is where we have rotation. You can see that tight, concentrated area of winds going towards the radar and winds going away from the radar. It tells you that we're seeing some rotation within the storm. And then correlation coefficient is like it's pretty obvious to mark out a debris signature. So you look at velocity, you see where the rotation is, and then you overlay correlation coefficient. And if there's like a ball, it depends on your color table. Usually it's black or blue. But if there's like a ball right over this velocity, then that's tornadic debris. Which I can bring that up for you guys too. I'll show you all. That's correlation coefficient. So basically, what the radar is doing is it's looking at the size of the particle. So it's scanning the atmosphere. It sees that like raindrops, everything, they look relatively similar in size and shape. But then, say if you have debris in the air, that does not look like a raindrop to the radar, because the radar scans on a horizontal and a vertical plane. It's called dual polarization radar, in which it scans the height and the width of particles, and it can see how big these particles are. But say if there is tornadic debris, random objects like leaves or tree branches or bits and pieces of different things, the radar looks at it and it says, okay, this is either taller or wider than a typical raindrop and what's going on in the environment. So it sees that and it's like, that don't look right. That looks not like a raindrop, and the value drops. So seeing a big drop underneath that rotation confirms that there's stuff being thrown up into the air. Let's see here. I'll pull up correlation coefficient on radar here so you can kind of see what that looks like. There you go. Here's actually a really good photo that you guys can kind of see. So this is what it would look like. You can kind of see here. So this is reflectivity. You guys are used to seeing reflectivity, the precipitation rate, the rate at which rate at which rain is falling, and basically how big the raindrops are, essentially. But you can see this little ball here. That is a debris signature. Now, I know this stuff kind of looks like it could be debris, but it's not. That's why I'm saying you got to look right where the rotation is, and then over top. If it looks like a ball, then that is a debris signature there. Anyways. Let's see here. It was Valentine's Day. Oh, was it? I got you. Let's see here. Roby says, "What's currently happening?" Oh, I was just going over how to read radar. Somebody wanted to know how to read velocity and correlation coefficient, stuff like that. Like I said, it's really important to kind of see what's going on within storms. So, recommend it. See, the following year in 2021, Tropical Storm Ida had EF3 nearly went through a neighborhood, and it missed. Missed a hit at a car dealership. The whole building collapsed. Wow. No deaths, though. That's good. That's crazy, though. Yeah, I mean, you could get cyclone-induced tornadoes from tropical weather. On the right-hand side, you have the strongest wind shear, the best mixing. The left side, the lapse rates are usually steeper on the right side of a tropical cyclone. You usually have more instability. That's where you have a lot of that moisture really coming in. But the hurricanes, they work a little different than typical lows. They really get a lot of their energy from the water and just the heat from the water. So, see, that tornado outbreak was crazy. I can remember. Watched a video. It was 90s, 91 and 97. Huh. Gotcha. You know, I feel like I bring up Milton all the time on this channel, but I remember during Hurricane Milton, there was like this wall of tornado warnings coming down from South Florida up towards like North Florida. I mean, it was pretty crazy, pretty crazy. But anyways, but yeah, guys, if y'all have any questions, feel free to let us know. Be more than happy to help. See, it's okay, Andrew. We've established that. Okay. All right. But all right, everybody. Well, I think I'm probably gonna roll off here for now. We actually been live over 2 hours now, so we streamed for quite a bit. But I'm glad to help you guys out. We'll be sure to help you guys out more later today. I do plan on giving you guys more of or another update later this evening. I'm not sure what time I'll go live, but I'm gonna try to go live again for you later this evening, so I can give you guys a little bit more of an update and stuff like that. But anyways. But if y'all have any final questions, be sure to let us know. It'll be much appreciated if you guys could also maybe leave a like, hit that subscribe button as well, if you're new. Let's see here. Grace says, well, thank you for answering my question, but this is my last question. How do I get velocity on Radar Omega? And I will subscribe if you answer the question. You don't got to subscribe, honestly. But I haven't used Radar Omega in a while. Just go to Radar Omega, go to the Radar site. There should be a panel or a little drop-down menu somewhere. Like I said, I haven't used Radar Omega in a while. But there should be a drop-down menu, and it should have like velocity, correlation coefficient, differential phase. There's different radar products. It'll be under there. But like I said, I don't use Radar Omega anymore. I haven't used it in like 2 years. It's been a while. Or probably a little less than that. Probably about a year or so. Squatchy says, thanks for the stream, even though I don't live in the area. You're very welcome. No problem. But all right, everybody. Well, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up here for now. Thank you all so much for joining. If you guys could, once again, maybe leave a like on your way out. It'd be much appreciated. But, y'all try not to be scared of, or try not to be worried about the severe weather, stuff like that. Like I said, we'll get through it. We'll be all right. I'll keep you guys informed, and we'll get through this together. But anyways, y'all, we'll see y'all later tonight. I'm going to do another live stream, probably kind of late. I'm thinking maybe around 10 o'clock or so. So it'll be a little bit. Do I think Southern Oklahoma is now the bullseye so far? It's in one of the areas where we have the greatest concern, yes. But here, I'll pull up Day 4 one more time. Yeah, I mean, we do have bits of Central Oklahoma in the 30% region. So, anyways. But all right, everybody, thank you all so much for joining. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your night, and we'll see you guys, or I guess evening. We'll see you guys later on tonight. Y'all take care, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.